both of these planes are guaranteed to be flat within a very fine tolerance, but what you're going to need for this is a good quality straight edge like this one made by Starrett. And the Lee Nielsen sole is guaranteed to be flat to within 1.5 thou. So if I put my straight edge on there, if I then use a feeler gauge of 1.5 thousandths of an inch, I should be able to put the feeler gauge under the straight edge at any point. That plane is actually very good. Now the Clifton is guaranteed to be flat within 3 thou, so not as flat, and most planes that come into the workshop are within tolerance, but we can improve on that very slightly by working them onto float glass. So you're going to need a reasonably thick piece of float glass like this one, which you can pick up fairly easily from a glass merchant, and onto this I've stuck 180 grit wet and dry paper. I've stuck this on with double-sided tape, but you could alternatively use a spray adhesive to do the same thing. Now what I'm going to do is flatten the plane, but I'm going to do it with the blade in there and tensioned, because that will have an influence on the flatness of the sole. Now all I need to do is make sure the blade is retracted, so I'm not grinding the blade too. And what I'll do before I start is I'll mark the sole of the plane with a permanent marker, so I can see what's going on as I flatten. And as I flatten, the felt tip mark should be removed and will indicate where the high points are. I'll work this up and down on the paper. And the high areas will be sanded away by the abrasive, shown here quite clearly what's going on. Now the tolerances we're dealing with, 180 grit paper should be coarse enough to deal with these slight discrepancies. If you've got a particularly bad plane, consider starting on a coarser grit first, maybe 150, and then go 180, but we would usually finish on a 180 grit. That seems to be fine enough for your plane to run well. Now this can be quite an arduous task and it can take some time, but the performance gained is well worth the effort.